Big Seals! Welcome aboard. I do dig the off week of the NFL when it comes to the Super Bowl. I do. Because you get great storylines and you also see what the league is doing when it comes to their hiring practices. It's really funny when you look around the league and you see what's going on when it comes to the hirings. And I got to tell you, maybe Philadelphia did set the bar on how you hire, and Nick Sirianni is kind of the blueprint. Look at all these first-year coaches. I know Dan Quinn got the DC job. We'll hit on that here in a minute. But why do you think they hired all these young coaches? Control. You think the organization wants to hire Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, any of those guys? You're not going to get away with that. When you think you're going to be a front office and tell Mike Vrabel what to do? Mike Vrabel had the general manager in Tennessee fired because of the complete catastrophe that they had with the A.J. Brown deal. All of these new and young hires are cheaper, and you can control them, just like Nick. See, Nick is not the only lapdog and the only puppet in the league. Every one of these coaches that were hired are all lapdogs and puppets. So maybe it's a league thing. That's kind of where you are now. Okay? You know, it's kind of where you are. If you want control, you hire a puppet. And that's kind of what all these organizations did. Who's the guy in Tennessee? Who's the guy in Seattle? Raheem Morris, I get. Okay, but look at the hires. These are all people they can control. And that is, without a doubt, what these organizations want to have. Remember what I told you. It's not really about winning Super Bowls or championships anymore. It's about controlling the narrative and your football team and the direction of your football team. That's where it's at. That's why you get these young hires. Okay? And I want to say something about Jason Kelce. And Tone, can you put it in the private box for me where he was defending Nick Sirianni? I thought I heard it on, was it Dinger's podcast or somewhere where maybe it was his own with his brother, that they were going and he was defending Nick Sirianni. Okay? Because I thought I heard it on WIP this morning. To me, when I heard some of those comments, and I heard him going overboard when it came to defending Nick Sirianni, it sounded like a company man to me. That wasn't a real take. 3 days ago, he said he doesn't want to leave the Eagle organization. He's a front office man already. And quite frankly, I don't believe that comment. That was a company man statement. That wasn't a football player statement. Okay? He's a company man. That was a company man's answer. If you listen to it, it's a company man. So Jason Kelce is making his transformation from being a player to being a yes man up in that front office with the Eagles. It's okay. It's what you got to do when you want to work with the Eagles. You got to say yes, sir. Whatever you need. No problem. So Jason Kelce's going to turn himself into a lapdog. If you listen to that answer, it's a company man's answer. Guy's great. Oh, my God. Funny, that's not what we saw. You know what they're trying to do in that Eagle front office? They're trying to make you feel that those guys had everything under control when that thing was a nuclear meltdown and a Chernobyl meltdown. And guess what? You know I'm talking and you know I'm saying the fucking truth. That was a company man talking. Nick's great. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Hey, that's the first time I saw Jason Kelce do something that was not in his nature. And that was to kiss the ass of a guy who failed. I have to say it the way it is. No disrespect to you. You're a great player, and I'm not going to quantify it. But, dog, that was a company man's answer, and you sound like you already work for the owner. Sorry, dude, but you're sitting on someone's lap. How you doing? I mean, you don't have to justify that. No one believed you, Jason. No one believed you. Full of shit, dude. How many people really think Nick Sirianni had that football team and everyone in that locker room aimed in the right direction when you're fucking 1-7? Who believes that? Who in their right mind believed that? And him going over the top to say that, and I can't believe no one called him out on it. It's a total bullshit comment. Damn, dog. I thought you had more pride in yourself. Some of you are going like this. Sills, you're killing one of our favorite players. Don't give a shit. You say something stupid, I get called on the carpet for saying stupid shit. So should he. I mean, get called on the carpet. Mr. Company Guy. I hope that's just a one of. I hope it's just a one of. Okay? I really do. You're talking about what a great coach. I think personally, Nick Sirianni is an automatic time bomb that's waiting to detonate in the Eagle locker room. And it's just sitting in the middle of the table, in the middle of the locker room, and it's waiting to blow. Because you know why? It's going to. It's inevitable. That bomb's going to blow up. It's inevitable. It's going to blow up. It's not going to be diffused. It's not going to get better. And as long as that bomb is in the middle of the Eagle locker room, all the players in that locker room will know there's a bomb in the room that's going to go soon. It's not when. It's a certainty. You should have cut the cord. Instead, you put the bomb in the middle of the locker room. When the first thing that goes sideways, should they fire the coach? That's the first comments that are going to be made after week one. It's the first comment. First comment. Hey, what do you think? It's a keg of dynamite. Right there in the middle of the room with your shitty coach. Holy cow. It's like a cancer. You know you're dying. You just don't know when. Right? You just don't know when. Okay. Let's get to Kellen Moore's hiring. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. You know what that means? Jalen Hurts' clock just started even quicker. You brought in a competent coordinator. As Tone says, guy knows how to handle blitzing. Guy knows how to put pass routes together. Hey, Jalen, you don't get it right now, you're out. You're out. I ain't going to sit around with a project for the next 7 years or 6 years or 4 years or 3 years. You don't get it right in 24, I'm going to begin that process of getting your ass out of there. Okay? Your clock just started. Your clock started. You're on the clock now. They brought in Kellen Moore to somehow fix Jalen Hurts. Okay. We're going to do if he doesn't pan out again. I mean, Kellen Moore, you're going to fire him again? Get another guy? And hope to God that you somehow find the magic genie to come in and rub Jalen and make him better? Jalen Hurts' 2024 season is going to be the branch between either he's going to be the future or you're going to begin the process of moving on. I'm not throwing money after money like in Dallas with Dak Prescott. I'm not doing that. Get this. Jerry Jones is down at the Senior Bowl right now. Somebody brought up Dak Prescott's contract to $59.5. You know what I say to that? Why would I spend $60 million? It's 8 years. I know what I have here. Why? Because I'm hanging around the rim? He makes us in the room and we're kind of in the game? Well, shit, dude. You're going to spend $500 million on a quarterback that doesn't deliver you a Super Bowl? What's the freaking point? What's the freaking point of doing that? When I look at what's going on in San Francisco with a guy making less than $900,000. Sorry, Hurts. I'm not going into another contract with you if you don't right the ship. Hey, man, no disrespect. Watch this. Hey, Jalen's a great guy. Great. Hey, Jalen works hard. Great. I don't give a shit. Are you good enough to win a Super Bowl for me right now? Some of you go, yeah, well, so far it's a one-year wonder. That's what it is. He's not been consistent in any year he's played. First year, second year, third year. They're all 3 different years. And I would make the comment the first year was better than this last year. You know why? At least he finished the season on a high note. And JP goes, Hurts for one down year? What do you mean one? No. This is not like 1985 where you're paying a guy $200,000. You're paying a guy $50 fucking million, guy. This is not some sort of half-ass investment. You're paying people $250 million to get it right. You don't have, well, hey, we're on a 5-year plan. What do you think, you're in the Army? This ain't a 5-year plan. You've got to figure this out. Hey, can Jalen win me games? Yeah. Can we compete in the NFC East? Yeah. That ain't $50 million. So you bring in Kellen Moore? Jalen Hurts is under more pressure than Kellen Moore is. Kellen Moore has shown success in the league. Jalen Hurts has shown 1 year of success in the league. As a matter of fact, Kellen Moore's resume is actually better when it comes to developing offenses than anything that they've had in the last 3 years in Philly. So there's no excuses anymore. Either you can read a defense, pick up blitzes, find the open guy, or you can't. I'm not spending $50 million on a Wildcat quarterback. You're now officially in the conversation now where Jalen Hurts has to show us. he's got to show us that he can be consistent like Mahomes. Okay? Don't you want that? Oh, he's a great guy. He's all this. I don't. If I'm going to a party and I'm naming Man of the Year, Hurts is my MC. If I'm winning a Super Bowl or trying to win a Super Bowl, that's the least thing I care about the most. Okay? Seriously. You're not going to go win Super Bowls with choir boys. You got to get into a position here where you got to figure this out here. He's regressed. Can you fix him? There's not a person with any kind of common sense that would sit here and go, Jalen Hurts didn't regress this last year. And Kellen Moore was hired for a reason. And by the way, lapdog Sirianni in the building hurts that development. Let me ask you this. Here's something else to think about. How do you know Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni are going to get along? Did you ever put that into a conversation? How do you know there's not going to be conflict in the building when, say, Kellen Moore wants to throw the ball and all of a sudden Nick says, we should put some more RPOs? No, this is my call. Who's going to have the autonomy to say, no, I'm doing this? This is why I was brought here. Is Nick going to overrule that? Or has Nick been neutered? How do you know this relationship? Hey, get this. What are you more concerned about? The relationship with Sirianni and Kellen Moore? Or the relationship with Hurts and Kellen Moore? What are you more concerned with? Dude, he's fighting for his job, Nick Sirianni. He's fighting for his job. You think he's just going to let some guy run the steamship into an iceberg and sink his ass? Think of that. Think of that for a second here. You're going to be in a position where you've got a coach who's been kicked to the side, whose authority has been questioned by ownership and the GM, and you bring a new dude in. How do you think that would make you feel? If your boss hired somebody, put him in the room with you, and you had no say on what that guy was going to say or do on your own show or in your own office building. You're the head coach, or aren't you? Are you not the head coach? Are you not? Nick is taking everyone, right? He'll have enough time to do that real soon. He's not fighting Sills, okay? He's not fighting Sills. He's sucking up to the people above him. Well, then he's not. What's he in the building for then? What's he in the building for? Dude? You don't have really a football problem. You have a structural problem inside your organization. And it's exactly what I opened the show with. All these organizations hiring these wet behind the ear head coaches who have no authority when they go into the building because they're first-year guys and they want control over them. That's exactly what you have here. You have an organization that has too much football control over the players and the coaches. You can't get out of your own way. Let these people fucking coach. Okay? Do me a favor. Let these guys coach. Yeah, hey, without a doubt, Nick isn't the head coach because Kellen is being geared up for that role next year. Could be. Could be. Hey, Bob, I want to make it very clear what I said about Kelce. That's the first time I heard some stupid shit coming out of his face, too. Sucking up to Nick Sirianni, giving you a company statement about how great a coach he is and how everyone loves him. Hey, Jason, I know you're going for a management job next year or maybe even this year, but Jesus, dude, did you have to overcook it? Everyone knows you're full of shit on this. You can't bullshit people like that, Hoss. And you know better than that. Nobody in their right mind thought that Nick Sirianni had the pulse of the team when you're 1-7 at the end of the season. You make a dumbass move like the Desai move and think you had everything under control and go, hey, he's a great coach. Who thinks that? No one. Nobody in their right mind would think that unless you're a dumbass or you're just making shit up. Get this, I'm not making 1-7 up, kid. I'm not making the defense look like horseshit at the end of the season. I ain't making that up. I ain't making up that Jalen Hurts was second in turnovers. I ain't making that up. That happened. Those aren't opinions. Those aren't opinions. That's not gaslighting anything. Is Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni going to get along? Are they going to get along? I think it's a fair question to ask. Why wouldn't it be? I love when those people drop that 10-1, and I turn around and go 1-7. 1-7. That's who you were. 10-1 was the fraudulent record that I told you since New England. I said it in week 1 in New England. That team ain't that good. They're not that good. And the quarterback's making business decisions. No, Sills, you're not, everyone's going like, Jesus Criminy, man, we're 9-0. And I'm like, that team ain't that good. I got you. I got you, man. Shooter. I got you. Howie and Lori love their corporate puppet head coach. That's right. That's exactly correct. No question about it. Kelce has always backed whatever coach is in the house. That's what a team player does. No, you don't back a coach who sucks. So you're going to back somebody who sucks? I'd rather have you say nothing. Dude, that's not what a team guy does. Or if that was the case, Jalen Hurts would be back in Nick Sirianni. I agree with everything Sileo says, but ultimately, Lori owns the team. What are we supposed to do? It's a great call. Hey, he's not going to sit around and let Howie Roseman fail again in the NFL draft. By the way, how do you think you build stability when it comes? You know why your Eagles are not a stable organization? And what I mean by that is you have to consistently lean on Howie Roseman every 2 years to rebuild your football team. Do you know why that is? Because of the incompetence in the draft. You don't build stability in free agency. You build stability through the draft. Ask San Francisco. Ask Green Bay. Ask Seattle. Ask New England. Pittsburgh. All the teams that have long periods of success are built through the draft, not free agency. Will the new coaches have the requisite amount of autonomy to do what they need to do? Will this diminish the influence and control of Howie Roseman? That's the billion-dollar question. How much autonomy are these guys going to get, and how much interference are we going to see the head coach have? If the I'll tell you this. Do you know what the best thing the head coach can do? The best thing the head coach can do is stay out of the way. Bring the Krellers and donuts. Bring the coffee for your coaches. Get your spreadsheets together. Plan a nice trip. And go see the Rocky statue for the new guys. Have a picnic party, Nick. But other than that, stay away from coaching. Because unless it's you putting a picnic together, I don't want you anywhere near coaching. Because you can't. I don't want any of you near him. I don't want any of the new coaches near him. Because his influence sucks. Hey, I think it's a great idea to put Matt Patricia in. Let's name him D coordinator. If that even was his move. That's what he's saying because he fell on the sword for some dumbass. I wonder who. Come on, man. This has been a 3-week comedy tour since this thing all blew up. It's been 3 weeks of comedy. It's really funny listening to people talking. And again, you know, when you bring up the shit with A.J. Brown, some of you fuckers don't understand what the CBA dictates and how you can kick the can down the road when it comes to cap hits. And you can defer the money. Read a book, dude. It's there at NFLPA.com. You can read it. You can read it. You can defer it or take the big hit up front. You can restructure contracts like they did the Kevin Byard deal. Hey, and one more thing about the whole A.J. Brown deal, which we started right here on this program 3 weeks ago. I think Tone and I said it was probably around the time that he scrubbed his social media. We're around a Buck game. And I said, hey, man, there's nobody safe on that football team. I'd trade everybody but the quarterback. And somebody goes, what do you mean trading A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown got you dick this year. And he had a career year. And you don't believe in your quarterback. I'll say it again. You don't believe in your quarterback. Like they do in the wing. Hey, Buffalo's cutting Stephon Diggs June 1. They're cutting him because they need the $25 million in cap space. Then you turn around and you look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati they spend no money on running backs and no money on wide receivers, and they're in their second Super Bowl in a row. Why is that? Well, because the quarterback is special. Your guy's not. So what do you have to do? You have to build your roster. You're not Kansas City. You don't understand and you won't accept it. You're not Kansas City because you know why? You don't have Patrick Mahomes, even though you pay him like he's Patrick Mahomes. There lies the difference. He's not Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes was on the Eagles, they would beat teams by 30 points. But then again, they couldn't pay $500 million. Okay? You have no idea what you're talking about. Every deal is workable. Every deal. And here, once again, they need draft choices. The problem with that lies with this, though. Do you trust Howie to do it? Is he a good enough personnel guy to do it? I don't think so. He can't draft linebackers to save his life. What are you going to do with that? The Kobe Dean thing. That all of you told me he was a superstar. I told you that guy will never play and he won't last a year. All true. All true. He won't be a factor and he won't make the season. And he didn't. And both. That turned out to be a fact. You see, it's funny. You're right. Because I find myself doing this. Okay, if I traded away a guy like Brown and I disagree with Rob Ellis I think you can get 2 ones for him. And I would say this to you, okay? I would say give me the 2 ones. But I don't know who would do that, okay? Maybe 1 and 2 threes, 1 and 2 twos, because you need to fix your defense. You've got a horrible job ahead of you, okay? A horrible job. And I'm sorry I started this here. And I'm glad to see John Ritchie. By the way, I had a great conversation with John Ritchie this morning. He thinks the same thing. They need to get as many draft choices as they can get and try to find a way to be able to pull some strings to get that defense with more draft picks. Unfortunately, Odyssey is in a bind with us because they don't want to have any of their hosts come on our program because we're starting to kill the market. It's okay. Winning! It's all good. Nobody's saying trade A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown's a dick or he's not a good player or a good teammate or a great lead. You have an asset. Now, one thing is for sure. You're not Kansas City. You'll never be Patrick Mahomes. I think we all understand that. Okay. So you got to build your team like the Niners. Jalen Hurts is not going. He is not going to carry your football team with lesser players. Trade for Surtain or draft Kool-Aid. I like the drafting of Kool-Aid. I would say this to you too. You know, I've heard guys on our network go like this. You know, we need another guy for Hurts. Jesus criminy. How many top flight guys does a kid need to win? He got 6 Pro Bowlers now. Let me ask you this. Does Kansas City have one Pro Bowler that's a skilled guy? The tight end, right? And nothing else. It's the tight end and the quarterback. That's when you know you're paying $55, $60 million and you're getting your money's return. You go like this, well, there's only one of those. No shit. That's my point. The Kyler Murray deal's not going to pay off. I'm not sure the Lamar Jackson deal is going to pay off. I'm not sure the Josh Allen deal is going to pay off, and I'm surely not sure because of Joe Namath Burrow that the deal in Cincinnati is going to pay off. I know the deal in Dallas doesn't pay off. So what am I doing here? I'm throwing good money after bad money here to try to find the brass slipper or a needle in the haystack. You're looking for the needle in the haystack when you don't need to. San Francisco doesn't have the needle in the haystack. Brock Purdy is Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0. Like, Brock Purdy is benefiting from having great players around him and a great play-calling head coach. You see, that lies your problem, too, when it comes to your head coach and why his sand dial is turned upside down and his job light's just about out. Because you know why? Once you're not a play caller anymore, I happen to agree with Chris Long. His time in Philly began right there when he was 2-5. It began right there. By the way, I see Xander's behind the scene here. He was with me the first time when they were 2-5. We were laughing at Nick Sirianni. We were laughing at him. This guy sucks. Took the play calling away from him, gave it to Steichen, saved his career for him 18 months. You know, Shane Steichen saved his career, not Jalen. Look at what Shane did. Gardner Minshew's in the Pro Bowl. Gardner Minshew is a Pro Bowler because of Shane Steichen? Wait a minute. Let's get this right here. Shane Steichen made Gardner Minshew a Pro Bowler. And you're trying to tell me you think Sirianni was the guy in Philly during 22 Jason Kelce that he was the guy. Your true head football coach was Shane Steichen. You let the wrong guy go. Nick got credit and plagiarized Shane Steichen. Facts. Quarterback regressed. Put Gardner Minshew in the Pro Bowl. Winning season in Indianapolis. What else is there to be said? Again, this is not opinion. Those are facts. You see, when you throw facts at people, like Tone says, people scream at you. You can't debate facts, so they holler at you. Gardner Minshew is a Pro Bowler like Jalen Hurts is. Tells me a lot about being a Pro Bowl quarterback these days. Gardner Minshew has the same distinction as Jalen Hurts does this year. I don't know, man. Is he an MVP candidate too? Jesus. Dude, hey, I thought for this, when we were talking last offseason, Sills, didn't you say Shane wasn't a big factor in the Eagles' success last year? I sure did. Because I was bullshitted that it was Sirianni. And now we know it's not. It was him. It had to be somebody. Now we know who it was because we see the incompetence in Sirianni. Sirianni is the one that gaslighted who the coach was. Dude, Nick Sirianni 1-7. Shane Steichen, a winning record in Indy, and the quarterback's a Pro Bowler. Come on. What else do you need to see? And again, not an opinion. You know, I thought that Gardner Johnson was going to be a huge loss. I thought that Hardgrave would be a rough loss too. Dude, the most important loss that they had was Shane Steichen. But see, I tell you what, one thing is for sure. The reason that Nick Sirianni's still in the building, you know why he's still in the building? What do you need, Howie? I'm right here for you. You need a cup of coffee? I mean, if you're not wearing the Howie Roseman knee pads, you can't work in that building. Howie, I'm right here. Whatever you need. You want to fire Desai? No problem. Do you want to elevate Patricia? No problem. You want to have the analytics guys give us all the intel? No problem. That's why when you walk in and get fired, you're not getting fired because you're just a yes man. I did everything you wanted. He's still the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles because he's a yes man. Not because he's a man, but because he's a yes man. Gardner Minshew's a Pro Bowler. Oh my God. The content that your Eagles are giving us these 3 weeks have been unbelievably awesome. They're more interesting now than they were during the regular season. %, right. Lori should have figured out when OC Gruden if there's something strange, I don't look good. Sills loves it when the Eagles are in pain. Friendly reminder. Yes, I know. Thank you, Tone. It's my boy. And I'm his. Dave goes, I tuned in for 10 minutes. Is this still a football show? It'll always be a football show and a sports show because football dominates the world right now in America. And that's my world. When 93 of the top television shows out of 100 are football shows, and the rest of them are those dog and pony shows or reality TV shows, you bet it is. What do you think I'm going to do? Talk about the NBA? Oh, by the way, you talk about an organization and a league that's got an identity crisis. So after Steph Curry leaves and LeBron leaves, who's going to be the face of the league, you think? Good luck to that one. Who's the face of the league after LeBron leaves and Steph Curry leaves? Do you got a guy? Do you have a guy? Giannis? Okay. Good luck to you. Luka? Good luck to you. Yeah, because Americans always root for foreigners to be faces of the league. That's right. That's what they do. Okay? Correct. Yeah, okay. So let's move on to this topic now. Oh, this is going to be a harsh one. Oh, my God. I want you to sit down for this one. Okay? I want you to sit down for this one. Sit down. You ready? Who's closer to a Super Bowl this coming 2024 season? The Cowboys or the Eagles? Eagles. Who's closer to the Super Bowl? The Eagles or the Cowboys? Gary, that's a true football fan. You're right. Cowboys always choke in the playoffs. That's not the question. Who's closer to the Super Bowl? Eagles or Cowboys? Ask yourself this one. What quarterback do you trust going forward to get you closer to the Super Bowl? Jalen or Dak? You'll go, well, Jalen's got to the Super Bowl. Dak's never. That's for sure. For sure, with a loaded team. I think the Cowboys are closer. I do. I think the Cowboys have better coaches. I think they're better coaches. Now, that's a big loss. Now, Harris will probably get the DC job in Dallas. He'll probably get that D coordinating job, Al Harris. And I think he's a great up-and-coming, talented coordinator, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. They got to stop the run in Dallas. That kid Mozzie Smith turned out to be a turd. Okay? So they got to figure out how to stop. And they've got to – here's their issues. Ready? The Cowboys are superior to you in the secondary. Superior. And they get Diggs back this coming year. You're not even remotely close to them. Anything's better than your linebacking core. You probably got a better D-line. Okay? Your O-line. If Kelce leaves, that's enormous. And he pulls his chair up next to Jeffrey Lurie as his assistant or whomever's assistant in the front office. So you would have, in the last 2 years, replaced Isaac Seumalo and also your center, who's a Hall of Famer. It's one thing to go, Cam Jurgens is a really good player. It's another thing to say, Cam Jurgens is a Hall of Fame center. You have a Hall of Fame center who's the All-Pro. I'm sure he's good, and I think he is too. But to say that he's Jason Kelce, that's a reach. Do I think the Cowboys have a better O-line than you? No. Do I think the Eagles have a better wide receiving core? I do not. Because you have two, they probably have five. And get this, after their first two, they're not great either. But you're horrible. You have a bunch of campers after Devontae. And no matter what you think of Quez Watkins could be cut the next team he goes to. I don't get it. You have nothing at the wide receiving position outside of the two guys. That's why you're predictable. You're predictable because you don't go to anybody else. Because you don't have anybody else. I mean, the numbers dictate that. Someone goes like this, who cares about the fifth wide receiver? Again, when you got a quarterback like Mahomes who goes to 9 different targets in a ball game, it matters because you're not predictable. Hey, you're going to AJ and you're going to Devontae. You're playing one-on-one football. What did it get you? 1-7. 1-7, baby. Come on now. Dak had a better year than Jalen did by far. Absolutely was horrible in the had a pick 6 in that playoff game. Not that Jalen played anything in that Buck game. Packers, Bucks, I don't know. They're pretty fairly close to one another. Both teams shit the bed in the first round of the playoffs. King says, do you think better route concepts that can make Watkins look decent? It's a great question. I do. If you have a play caller that knows how to design and how to get, that was one of the differences that Shane had in his route tree. In Shane Steichen's route tree, what was one of the most important? Guys were open last year. I didn't say Dak is better than Hurts. I said Dak had a better season than Hurts. You're putting that out there like that. That's not what I said. I said he had a better season. Okay? So you got to go on a year-to-year basis. Lamar had a better season. Jalen had a better season last year. Let's see what happens this year with Kellen Moore. That's why I say we need to find out once and for all if Jalen Hurts is the guy and not have this conversation. I think he's going to turn it. How many times on our network or listening on the radio do you hear this? I think he's going to turn it around. Jesus, that's not certainty to me. Well, Sills, you could say that about a lot of guys. No shit. That's why I'm questioning, are you spending the money in the right place at the quarterback spot? And that notion that you have to pay because it's market value. Thank God 49ers don't look at that way. That's not how they see it. The 49ers are going to be a great football team for the next 3 years. And that's an eternity in the NFL, 3 years. And that's how long they got that kid on that contract. Cowboys struggle with coaching. McCarthy has won a Super Bowl. He has. So are you saying that the 49ers are not going to pay Purdy, says Senor? Not right now, they're not. They don't have to. Why would you? When I could build up integrity in my roster. That's what New England did. And by the way, if Purdy's smart, he'll do the Brady route. The greatest thing that Tom Brady ever did besides his excellent play is this. He went to management and said, the money that I'm not making, the additional $10 million that I could make, Brady invested in himself. And he reinvested in the roster with the $10 million. Belichick would go get O-linemen, would pay DBs, would pay linebackers, would pay D linemen to a point. And then because of Brady, you went to New England knowing full well you were never going to make top dollar. You guys were never the highest paid players ever in New England at any position. You know why? The quarterback wasn't. And the quarterback's a Super Bowl champion. How do you sell that? Well, you're going to win Super Bowls. Do you want Super Bowls? Or do you want to get paid? If you want to get paid, you go somewhere else. And you don't win Super Bowls. That was the sell with New England. That's not the sell that you have in Philly. Because you don't get paid unless you leave Philly. Remember something. They don't pay guys on defense. They paid the corners. And they got handed to them. They got it handed to them this last year. Because the biggest investments they made failed miserably. Miserably. Nobody gets. Reddick is underpaid. Who's a big time paid guy on that defense beside the corners? No one. Okay? No one. Purdy is glad he's going to the Super Bowl because he can't afford. Probably so. Okay? Well, what did they invest in besides the typical raising defensive star? That's all New England pays. They draft decent old linemen. Already, Bill was pocketing the money. No, he wasn't. Well, yeah, he was. Because you're going to let a guy pocket money that delivers 6 Super Bowls. Dude, I don't have a problem with anything Bill Belichick did in New England. Hey, and get this. I just totally love how everyone's like capping on Vrabel and Carroll and Belichick by going like this. These guys couldn't get jobs. That's not the case. These guys didn't like the parameters of the job, so they didn't take them. Those guys could have had any job they wanted. Bill Belichick could have had the Atlanta job. Bill Belichick could have had the Washington job, but not at their recommendations on what they wanted to give it to him with. Nah, that's okay. I'll pass. You know why? Because Bill knows what he's doing. You think Bill's going to walk in and let people tell him what to do after 50 years of coaching? Highly unlikely. Well, here's the money. No, but they probably balked at the money too. $28 million total control. You take it or leave it. Well, we're going to leave it. And then we're going to hire a coach that we can control. That's what all these teams did except one, Washington. And Dan Quinn takes the Washington job. I think that's probably one of the best hires besides the Jim Harbaugh hire. It's probably one of the best hires. Look, the Cowboys are always going to be in the conversation because you know why? McCarthy's a good coach. And Jerry at the Senior Bowl is saying, hey, look, we're hanging around the rim. They are. They're a better squad than you right now. The Cowboys are better. They're better defensively, and they're better offensively. They're better as a roster. Now, you'll go like this. Sills, you really think the offense with the Cowboys is better than the Eagles? No. I think the 53-man roster is better than your roster. Especially after they took you apart in Arlington. You don't have a corner or a safety that's in the conversation. They're better than you across the board back there at every position. Free, strong corners. They're better than you across the board. They're going to have Bland and Diggs next year playing corner. 2 All-Pros. What are you're not close to them. And their safeties are superior to you. And like I said in the linebacking, you don't have to be much better than Philly because everybody's better than Philly at the linebacking core. Okay? Their edge rushers are good. They got a better defensive star than you do in Parsons, even though I'm not a gigantic fan in the kid. Again, you talk about having him in the locker room still, Kellen Moore, the development, all of this. You're not talking in Dallas about developing Dak. You're talking about paying people in Dallas. You don't have to retool anything in Dallas except fix that run defense, which has been really a problem for 3 years in Dallas. And if anybody had any common sense about them, they would understand that. And something that I heard Devontae say, I heard Devontae Smith say this. My message to Kellen Moore would be, just let us do what we do. This is going to be an interesting relationship. It is. The relationship with Nick and Kellen and the receivers and Kellen and Nick and Jalen. See, I think this is a ticking time bomb. Once again, you don't have anybody with any leadership in the locker room. You got players saying shit. You got 2 different head coaches now in the locker room offensively. You're going to have a power struggle between the OC and the head coach. That's a prediction. That's my prediction. That there'll be a power struggle between those two. That's right. Crowley, that's right. We'll have to wait and see. Let me ask you this. So do you actually truly believe that bringing Nick Sirianni back is an asset? Yes or no? According to Jason Kelce. You think he's an asset in the building and will be helpful to Jalen Hurts' development? Okay, do you think this was did the Eagles make the right move by bringing him back? I mean, honestly, you know what? I would have completely hired my coordinators like I did, and I would have went and got me a young coach somewhere and put him in the building and just had like a guy in there that could deal with these 2 dudes, because he's not going to have any say over Vic Fangio, and he's not going to have any say, I don't think, over Kellen Moore. Yeah, that's C24. That's a problem. That's it right there. I have a question mark on the chemistry of the coaching staff, not the players. Well, the players and the new coaching staff. This is crazy that you're an 11-win team and you're ripping your coaching staff apart. Have you ever seen that? Have you guys ever seen a team win 11 games, fire both coordinators, and completely redo the entire coaching staff? Have you ever seen that? And a team that's been to 3 straight playoffs. Have you ever seen that? I was trying to think about teams that have had success and have won a ton of games and completely ripped their team apart because they weren't happy with it. What's really telling is that they're telling you things that they're not doing. You understand what I mean? Like, they're telling you everything is okay, but they're retooling their entire coaching staff. Doesn't that contradict each other? Doesn't it? Doesn't it contradict it? It's one thing to lose coordinators or people because they end up getting head coaching jobs. It's another thing to completely revamp your entire coaching staff. I'm awake. RU says we'll be fine. You'll be fine with a coach. You shit the bed at the end of the year. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's a ticking time bomb. Oh, by the way, Denard Wilson is now the new Titans defensive coordinator. Didn't you have that guy in the building? So he'll now be the new defensive coordinator in the building there. Great. Okay. I do think that he has put him on the clock, Kellen Moore. Okay? I do. Because now we're going to find out if he can read defenses. We're going to find out if he can handle blitzes. After this, there's no more excuses. There just isn't. All right. The defense has to be completely overhauled. Do they have the right people to do this? Is Vic Fangio the right guy to do this? I do like the new assistant coaches that they're bringing in. Okay, I do. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.